Rain fell slowly in the narrow alley, making the bricks shine like wet glass. Evan walked behind his small daughter, Lily, trying to keep her from slipping on the ground. It was evening, and the city lights were just turning on, glowing softly through the falling rain. Evan was tired from work, and all he wanted was to go home, eat something warm, and rest. But Lily was full of energy. She loved rain. She jumped in puddles, laughed loudly, and stretched her arms like she wanted to catch raindrops in her hands. Evan smiled a little, even though he was exhausted. Her happiness always softened him. Then, suddenly, Lily stopped. She stopped so fast that Evan almost bumped into her. Her small red raincoat shined in the alley's dim light. She stared ahead with a confused expression. Like she had found something unusual, Lily. Evan said, "What happened?" But Lily didn't answer. Instead, she slowly walked forward. Evan followed her gaze. Someone was sitting at the far end of the alley, sitting on the cold stone steps, curled up, letting the rain fall over her like she didn't care about getting wet. Her skin was purple, her long green hair stuck to her face, and her thin dress was torn at the edges. She looked weak, tired, almost like she had been crying for a long time. It was an alien woman. Evan froze for a second. He had seen aliens before some lived in the city, but this one looked different. She looked homeless, hurt, and scared. Her body shook from cold, and her eyes were red like she had not slept for days. Before Evan could step forward, Lily moved. She walked toward the alien woman with small, slow steps, her little boots splashing in puddles. The alien lifted her head and stared in surprise. She probably expected adults to ignore her, or maybe yell at her. No one ever came close to someone like her, but a child? A small human girl? She wasn't expecting that. Lily stopped in front of her, looked at the alien's sad face, and said in a soft voice, I need to hug you." Evan felt his heart stop. "Lily, wait!" he shouted, rushing forward, but the alien woman did not get angry. She did not move at all. She looked shocked, like no one had ever said something kind to her. Her lips trembled, her hands shook, and her voice came out thin and broken. "Please, don't," she whispered. "They will hurt you if you come near me." Lily didn't understand. She only saw someone crying in the rain. She stepped closer and opened her arms. The alien looked away, tears mixing with rain. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I don't want trouble. I only wanted to hide. I don't want them to find me." Evan reached Lily and gently held her shoulders. He looked at the alien woman carefully. She didn't look dangerous. She looked completely exhausted, like she was at the edge of collapsing. Her fingers were blue from cold, her legs shaking from hunger and fear. "Are you hurt?" Evan asked carefully. The alien woman nodded, but then quickly shook her head, as if she was scared to talk. She looked behind Evan, at the entrance of the alley. Her eyes widened with sudden fear. "No," she whispered. "They are coming." Evan turned to look. The sound of an engine echoed from the street. A black armored hover van appeared slowly, bright lights cutting through the rain. 3 tall figures stepped out, wearing dark metal armor and full face masks. They held shock spears and scanners that glowed red. Lily grabbed Evan's leg tightly. The alien woman pulled her knees closer to her chest and whispered, "Please go. Please leave. They are not here for you. They are here for me." The hunters pointed their scanners toward the alley. One of them spoke in a metallic voice. "Target detected. Sector 7B. Engage." Evan's stomach tightened. He didn't know who they were, but they looked dangerous. Their movements were sharp and trained. Their weapons hummed with electricity. They were not normal police. They looked like private hunters. Bounty hunters. They walked forward slowly, footsteps echoing between the walls. Their glowing lenses locked on the alien woman. Evan stepped in front of Lily and the alien. Without thinking, it was pure instinct. A father protecting his child. A human protecting someone weak. One hunter raised his spear and said, "Return the escaped asset." Evan felt anger rise inside him. The alien woman was shaking, terrified. Clearly more like a victim than a criminal. Something felt very wrong. Lily peeked out from behind her father and said quietly, "She's not an asset. She's crying." The hunters ignored her. They took another step. The alien woman trembled harder. "Please," she begged Evan, "take the child and run. They will hurt you if you stand with me." Evan didn't move. He didn't even breathe. Something inside him refused to step away. The hunters raised their weapons higher. The rain fell harder. The alley felt smaller. Lily held the alien woman's hand tightly. The alien gasped from surprise at the gentle touch. And then Evan said in a firm voice, "You want her. You go through me." The hunter stopped for a second, shocked by the human's courage. That single moment, that single choice, changed everything, and the real danger began, harder, splashing on metal, on stone, on skin. Evan stood tall, even though his hands were shaking. He was only a normal man, no armor, no weapon, no training. But he stood like a wall between the alien woman and the hunters. The alien woman breathed fast, her eyes wide. Her weak hands gripping the edge of the steps, Lily stayed close to her, too innocent to understand how dangerous the moment was. Then one hunter raised his spear and stepped forward. The red light on the weapon grew brighter, humming like a warning. He pointed at Evan and spoke in a cold metallic voice. "Do not interfere, human male. The asset is required." "Step aside." Evan didn't move. "Her name is not Asset," he said sharply. "Leave her alone." The hunters didn't like that answer. The leader lifted his hand, signaling the other two to advance. That was when Evan grabbed Lily's arm and pulled her back. "Run!" he shouted. The alien woman stood up, but her legs shook too much before she could fall. Evan grabbed her wrist and pulled her with them. They started running deeper into the alley. Blue sparks flew past them as the hunters fired shocks that hit the ground near Evan's feet. The sound was loud like lightning exploding. Lily screamed, but Evan didn't stop. The alien woman stumbled behind him, breath sharp and painful, every step heavy. Left. Evan shouted, turning sharply into another narrow passage between buildings. The hunters followed, their boots hitting the ground in perfect rhythm. They were trained fast, and they didn't slow down. Evan's heart raced. He had no plan, no idea where to go. He only knew one thing. He had to protect his daughter and this alien woman. No matter what, they reached a dead-end fence. Evan panicked for a second, but then he saw a small side gate. Locked with a chain, without thinking, he kicked it with all his strength. The chain snapped, and the gate swung open. He pushed Lily through, then helped the alien woman squeeze inside. She cried out softly as her arms scraped the metal, but she didn't stop moving. Evan followed her and shut the gate behind them, just as the hunters turned the corner. The hunters hit the gate with their spears, sending electric shocks through the metal. The whole gate glowed blue. Evan stepped back, holding Lily close. The alien woman leaned on the wall, breathing hard, her eyes full of fear. "We need to keep moving," she whispered, her voice shaking. "They will not stop," Evan nodded. He picked up Lily with one arm and placed the other around the alien woman's shoulders to keep her steady. They ran again, now moving into the darker part of the alleyways where lights were broken and trash was scattered everywhere. The rain made the ground slippery. Evan almost fell twice, but he kept going. He could hear the hunters climbing over the gate behind them. Metal scraping, boots hitting the ground. "They're coming," the alien woman whispered. "They always come." Evan looked at her. "Why are they chasing you?" He asked between breaths. She shook her head, fear in her eyes. I will tell you when we are safe." "Will we be safe soon?" Lily asked, voice small. Evan didn't know the answer, but he forced himself to sound calm. "Yes, sweetheart." "Stay close." They reached an old fire escape ladder hanging from a building. Evan looked up. For the first time that night, he had a small idea. "Climb," he said. The alien woman hesitated, but Evan lifted her onto the first row. She grabbed it weakly, trembling, but she tried. Evan helped Lily climb next, and pulled himself up after them. Halfway up, the hunters burst into the alley below. Their lenses scanned upward, spotting them instantly. One hunter raised his spear and fired. The shock hit the metal ladder, sending a jolt through Evan's hands. He gritted his teeth and climbed faster. The alien woman almost slipped, but Evan grabbed her ankle and pushed her up. They reached the rooftop, soaking wet and breathing hard. The rain was colder up here, and the wind stronger, but at least they were out of reach for a moment. Evan guided them behind a large vent box, trying to keep them hidden. The alien woman hugged her arms around herself, shivering violently. Lily sat beside her and touched her purple hand gently. "Are you hurt?" Lily asked. The alien woman gave a tiny smile, a sad one. "Yes, but it is all right." Evan sat in front of her. "What's your name?" He asked. She hesitated, then whispered, "Araya." "Okay, Araya," Evan said. "Tell me why they're hunting you." But before she could answer, the hunters reached the edge of the building across from them. They had climbed too. Their glowing red lenses swept the rooftop like machines searching for prey. Evan cursed under his breath. He looked around quickly. There was another rooftop bridge, a small metal plank connecting two buildings, but it was slippery and unstable. Still, it was their only escape. He stood up, grabbed Araya's hand, and whispered, "We move now." Araya nodded weakly. Lily held Evan's shirt tightly. They ran across the rooftop as quietly as possible. The hunters spotted them instantly. "Target relocating," one of them barked. Evan reached the thin metal bridge and stepped onto it first. It wobbled sharply. Rain made it even worse. Lily hesitated, but Evan held her hand and guided her slowly across. Araya followed, her legs barely working. She almost fell when the wind pushed her sideways. Evan reached out and caught her hand, pulling her close. A spear bolt hit the roof behind them, exploding into blue sparks. "Move!" Evan shouted. They crossed the bridge, just as the hunters jumped onto the previous rooftop. Their footsteps echoed like metal hammers. Evan helped Araya down the other side and pushed her toward a rusted door. He broke the lock and dragged them inside a dark, abandoned storage room. Lily clung to him. Araya collapsed on the floor, breathing hard. Tears mixing with rainwater outside, the hunters scanned the area, their shadows moving across the window. Evan locked the door quietly and whispered, "We're safe for now, but they will come again." Araya looked up at him with scared eyes and whispered, "You don't understand. They will not stop until they take me." And for the first time, Evan realized this was more than a chase, more than fear, more than danger. Araya was hiding something huge, something powerful, something dangerous to the wrong people, and he needed to know what. The storage room was dark and cold, dust floating in the air. Rain continued hitting the broken windows, each drop echoing like a slow ticking clock. Evan placed Lily on an old wooden crate and helped Araya sit up against the wall. She was shaking badly now, her skin pale and her breath weak. Lily reached out and gently touched Araya's face. "Are you okay?" she asked softly, Araya gave a small, tired smile. You are very kind, little one. Kinder than most adults I have met. Evan knelt in front of her, worry heavy in his eyes. Araya, you need to tell me the truth. Why are those hunters chasing you? What do they want? He asked. Araya looked down at her torn dress, her fingers trembling as she held the fabric. For a long moment, she didn't answer. She seemed scared not of Evan, but of the truth itself. Finally, she whispered, Because I am not supposed to exist here. Evan frowned. What do you mean? She looked up, tears mixing with the rain still dripping from her hair. My people? We came to this world as refugees. We were escaping war on my home planet. The mercenaries who attacked us were after our abilities. Lily tilted her head, curious. Abilities? She repeated. Araya nodded slowly. My species can heal, not with magic, but with energy inside our bodies. Our blood can cure sickness. Our touch can close wounds. It is a rare ability, and very valuable to cruel people. Evan's eyes widened. So they want to capture you for that? Araya nodded again. Yes, they take my kind, cage them, sell them to the highest bidder. Lily gasped. That's bad. Araya looked at her with soft eyes. Yes, little one. Very bad. Evan clenched his jaw, anger building inside him. But you're not a criminal. You're running for your life. I am the last one, Araya whispered. My whole group. My family. They were all taken. I escaped only because a friend sacrificed himself to help me run. Her voice cracked as she said it. She hugged her knees tightly and closed her eyes, remembering something painful. I have been hiding for weeks. Starving, cold, but alive. Evan felt a deep heaviness in his chest. He couldn't imagine the fear she lived in. Hunted every day, never resting, never trusting anyone. He looked at Lily, who was now sitting beside Araya, trying to warm her hands between her small palms. Lily whispered, You're not alone now. Daddy is here. I'm here. Araya stared at the little girl, a tear falling down her cheek. I do not understand humans, she whispered. Some fear us, some hurt us, and yet you two show kindness I never earned. Evan shook his head. You don't need to earn kindness. You just needed someone to see you. Before Araya could respond, a loud metallic thud echoed from outside the storage room. Evan stood up immediately, his heart racing. He moved to the small broken window and slowly looked outside. The hunters were close. Their shadows moved across the alley, scanning every corner. The red lights on their helmets glowed like evil eyes in the rain. They're searching building by building, Evan whispered. We don't have long. Araya's breath quickened, fear returning to her face. Please. You should leave me here. Take your child and go. If they catch you because of me. No, Evan said sharply. I'm not abandoning you. Araya looked down, overwhelmed. But you do not know what danger you bring to yourself. Evan stepped closer, lowered his voice, and said firmly, I don't care. You need help. And I'm not the kind of person who walks away. Araya covered her mouth with her hands, trying not to cry again. For the first time since they met, she felt something strange. Safety, trust, hope, but hope was a dangerous thing for someone hunted. Lily tugged on Evan's sleeve. Daddy, someone is outside, she whispered. Evan froze. He moved quickly to the door and pressed his ear against it. Footsteps, slow and heavy, walked right past the entrance. The hunters were only a few meters away. Araya curled into a ball, shaking. They are close. Too close. Evan looked around the room. Searching for an escape, there was one small back window, but it was high and blocked by old shelves. The front door was too risky. The roof access ladder was broken. He took a deep breath and turned back to Araya. We're not running anymore. Not right now. We hide and when they pass. Then we move. Araya swallowed hard. But what if they break the door? Then, Evan said quietly, I'll stand in front of you. Araya stared at him with a mix of fear and disbelief. Why? Why would you fight for me? I am nothing to you. Evan shook his head. You're someone who needed help. That's enough. Lily climbed into Araya's lap without fear, wrapping her arms around the alien woman's cold body. Araya stiffened for a moment, then slowly relaxed. She placed her trembling hand on Lily's back. The hunter's steps grew louder, louder. Stopping right outside the storage room door, a scanner light swept across the crack. Glowing red, Araya held her breath. Lily closed her eyes. Evan secretly picked up a broken metal rod. Ready to protect them, the hunter paused, listening, scanning. Evan felt sweat run down his back. Araya's entire body went still. Lily held onto her tightly. Then, the hunter walked away. They all exhaled at the same time, relief washing over them like warm water. But it was short-lived. Araya whispered, voice shaking, They will find us soon. They always do. Evan lowered the metal rod, looked at her seriously, and said, Then tell me everything, Araya, so I know what we're really fighting against. And Araya finally opened her mouth to reveal the truth she had been hiding. A truth that would change everything. Araya sat against the wall, rainwater still dripping from her hair. Evan waited in front of her, the broken metal rod still in his hand. Lily sat between them, holding Araya's cold fingers gently, like she was protecting her instead of the other way around. Araya took a slow breath, trying to steady herself. I will tell you, she whispered, because you deserve the truth. And because you risked your life for me. Evan nodded silently. Letting her speak, Araya looked at the floor as she began, her voice quiet and full of pain. My people lived simple lives. We were healers. We traveled from place to place, helping whoever needed us. Lily listened with wide, innocent eyes. But then, Araya continued, the mercenaries came. They wore armor like those hunters. They wanted our healing blood. They believed they could sell it for great power and great money. Her hands trembled as she remembered. They attacked our village at night. They burned our homes. They captured everyone. Except me. Evan felt a deep anger rise in his chest. The idea of hunters treating people like products made him sick. How did you escape? He asked. Araya swallowed hard. My brother. He distracted them. He told me to run. He stayed behind. Her voice broke. I never saw him again. Lily crawled closer and hugged Araya's arm. I'm sorry. She whispered. Araya placed a shaky hand on the girl's head. You are too kind for this world, she whispered back. She continued, the mercenaries sold many of my people. Some died from experiments. The rest were taken to unknown places. I ran from planet to planet, always hunted, always hiding. She pulled her knees to her chest, and when I came here, I thought maybe humans would help me. Some did. Most didn't. But the hunters found me again. Evan exhaled slowly. So you've been running for years? Araya nodded. Yes? Years. Before Evan could respond, a loud crash hit the outside wall. The whole storage room shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Lily jumped in fear. Evan moved instantly to the window and peeked outside. His heart tightened. The hunters were no longer searching slowly. They were smashing doors, breaking windows, scanning every building with red lights. They're going aggressive, Evan whispered. They know you're close. Araya's breath quickened. We cannot run forever. They will catch us. Evan looked at her firmly. Not while I'm here. Araya stared at him, confused. Why do you keep standing with me? She asked again. Why risk your life? You owe me nothing. Evan looked at his daughter, then at Araya. Because no one should face this alone, he said simply. And you're not a monster like they claim. You're someone who needs help. Araya's eyes softened. She looked down, clearly overwhelmed. She whispered, "Humans are strange." Evan gave a small smile. "We try," he said. Another explosion hit the building 2 doors down. This time louder, closer, dangerous. The hunters were almost here. Everything in Evan's body screamed run. Every instinct as a father screamed protect Lily. But he knew running now would expose them. He looked around the room. His eyes landed on the thick metal storage shelf. "Tall and heavy. Araya," he said quickly. "Hide behind that shelf with Lily." Araya blinked in confusion. "What about you?" Evan gripped the metal rod tighter. "I'll hold them off." Araya's heart stopped. "No," she whispered sharply. "You can't fight them alone. They have weapons, armor." Evan shook his head. "If I don't stop them here, they'll chase you again. They'll corner you. They'll take you." He looked at Lily softly. "I won't let that happen." Lily grabbed his shirt, tears forming in her eyes. "Daddy?" "Don't go." Evan knelt down, kissed her forehead. "I'll be okay, baby, I promise." Araya's voice shook. "Do not lie to her. You may not return." Evan didn't argue. He just stood up and took a deep breath. Then the storage room door shook violently. A heavy fist hit it again, then again, metal bending with each impact. Araya quickly pulled Lily behind the shelf, holding the child tightly as she crouched low. Her hands glowed faintly, not bright, just a weak flicker of her healing energy. She had no strength left to fight. "Please be safe," she whispered to Evan. Evan stood in the open center of the room, feet firm, metal rod tight in his hands, heart beating fast but steady. The door dented inward. Another hit. Then it burst open with a crash. 3 hunters entered, sparks flying from the broken hinges, their red scanners locked instantly onto Evan. The leader stepped forward. "Human," he said in a cold voice. "Step aside." Evan didn't move. "You cannot win this," the hunter said. "You have no armor, no weapon that matters. No chance." Evan tightened his grip on the rod. "Maybe," he said. "But you're not touching her." The hunter laughed, a cold metallic laugh, and charged. Evan dodged the first strike barely, the spear hitting the floor and exploding into blue sparks. He swung the rod and hit the hunter's arm. Not enough to injure, but enough to push him back. The second hunter came at him from the side. Evan blocked the strike with the rod, pain shooting up his arm from the shock. But he held on. He kicked the hunter in the knee, making him stumble, but the third hunter grabbed Evan from behind and threw him across the room. He crashed into broken crates, pain exploding in his ribs. "Daddy?" Lily cried from behind the shelf. Evan forced himself to stand, teeth gritted, body shaking. He lifted the rod again, even though his arm trembled. He looked at the hunters with fire in his eyes. "I'm not finished," he said. The hunters surrounded him, weapons raised. Araya watched, her heart breaking. "Stop. Please stop," she whispered. The hunters ignored her. Evan stood in front of them again, beaten, injured, outmatched, but still standing, still fighting, still refusing to move an inch. And for the first time, Araya realized something powerful. Humans were not soft, not weak, not fragile. Some humans were unbreakable, and Evan was one of them. Araya closed her eyes and whispered, "He is fighting for me. I cannot let him fall." Something inside her began to awaken, something she had been suppressing for years, something the hunters had been seeking, her hidden ability. And when the hunters raised their weapons to finish Evan, Araya finally unleashed it. The hunters closed in around Evan, their red scanners glowing brighter as they prepared to strike. Evan stood with the metal rod in his hand, body shaking, breath heavy, ribs hurting with every move. Still, he refused to step back, refused to give in. refused to let Araya be taken. One hunter raised his shock spear, the electric tip glowing blue like a small lightning storm. Evan lifted the rod even though his arm trembled badly. From behind the shelf, Lily sobbed, "Daddy, please." Araya held Lily close, her own hands shaking, her heart breaking. She watched Evan, the human who saved her, protected her, fought for her, even when he had nothing. He stood against 3 fully armed hunters, while bleeding and breathing hard. He should not be alive, but he kept standing, kept fighting, kept shielding her with his own body. Something inside Araya snapped, something deep inside her chest, something she had tried so hard to hide because it scared her. But now she understood. She needed to use it. For him. For Lily. Araya closed her eyes, and for the first time in years, she stopped holding back. A warm light began to rise from her skin, soft at first, like the glow of a candle, then stronger, brighter. Warmer. Her shaking stopped. Her fear melted away. Warmth spread through her fingers, her arms, her whole body. Lily looked up, eyes wide. "Araya, you're glowing?" Araya stood, still holding Lily's hand. The light around her grew brighter, turning into a shimmering shield of pale gold energy. It moved like soft waves of water around her. Across the room, the hunters sensed it instantly. Their scanners flashed red in alarm. Energy surge detected. Target activating Forbidden's ability. Engage immediately. The lead hunter charged at Evan to finish him before the ability could fully activate. But Araya stepped out from behind the shelf, her energy field spreading across the room like a protective blanket of golden light. The hunter swung his spear, and the spear bounced off the shield as if it had hit solid metal. A loud clang echoed through the storage room. Evan fell back in shock, staring at Araya. "What? What is this?" he whispered. Araya's voice was calm, steady, stronger than ever before. "This is who I truly am," she said. "This is what they wanted to capture." The hunters attacked again, 2 at once, shock spears flashing. Each strike hit the glowing barrier surrounding Araya, and each one failed, bounced away, cracked the floor instead of her skin. Araya lifted her hand, and the golden light pushed forward like a wave of warm wind. Knocking one hunter back into the wall, he hit the bricks so hard that parts of his armor cracked. The second hunter attacked Evan again, trying to grab him while Araya was focused elsewhere. But Araya turned quickly, her eyes glowing bright. A pulse of energy shot out from her hand and created a shield around Evan's body, protecting him from the spear. The spear hit the invisible wall and shattered into pieces. Evan stared at her, breathless. "You saved me," he whispered. Araya smiled softly. Sadness and strength mixed together. "You saved me first," she said. "Now I protect you." The third hunter aimed his wrist blaster at Lily, trying to take the child hostage, but Araya stepped in front of Lily instantly. Her shield expanded around the girl like a cocoon of warm golden light. The blaster bolt hit the shield and dissolved like dust in sunlight. Threat level too high. One hunter shouted, "Retreat and call reinforcements." "No," another responded. "She is worth too much. Capture her now." But they were too late. Araya closed her eyes and released one final burst of energy. Not an attack, but a defensive blast that filled the room with warm, bright light. The hunters were thrown out the doorway like broken machines, their armor smoking, their weapons fried from the energy shock. The room fell silent. Only rain sounds came through the broken windows. Evan slowly walked toward Araya, still holding his ribs. Lily grabbed Araya's hand, eyes full of wonder. The bright golden light faded slowly, the shield dissolving until only Araya stood there. Weak again, breathing hard, her legs shaking. Evan caught her before she collapsed. "Easy, I got you, he whispered. Araya looked up at him, her eyes soft and tired. You should not waste your strength on me, she said weakly. Evan shook his head. You're not a waste, Araya. Lily hugged Araya's arm. You're family now, she whispered. Araya's eyes filled with tears. No one has ever said that to me. Evan looked at the broken door where hunters once stood. Now gone. They'll come again, he said quietly. They won't stop, Araya nodded sadly. I know. They will keep hunting me. Evan took a deep breath and looked at her with steady eyes. Then we'll protect you, he said. We'll move, we'll hide. Whatever it takes. Araya stared at him, her heart shaking with emotion she didn't know how to describe. Why? Why would you do that for me? She whispered. Evan smiled faintly. Because you deserve a chance to live, Lily added. And because you hugged me. Araya laughed, a soft, weak laugh full of relief and pain and hope, for the first time in years. She felt safe, for the first time in years. Someone fought for her, for the first time in years. She wasn't alone. Evan lifted her gently into his arms. Lily held his hand as they walked out into the rainy night together. Araya closed her eyes, rested her head on Evan's shoulder, and whispered, maybe. Maybe humans are not as dangerous as they say. Maybe humans are something better. And for the first time, she allowed herself to believe in a future not hunted, a future not alone, a future with them.